right. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just been a theme for today. But today I'm going to talk about childhood baggage and how we bring that baggage into our adult lives and we allow it to dictate the entirety of our story. I'm pretty sure all of us have either made an excuse on why we can't do something or dealt with somebody who's made an excuse on why they can't do something based on something that's happened in their childhood, why they can't grow, why they can't move forward. An example of this is somebody saying that, oh, I can't communicate effectively in this relationship because of something that happened to me in my childhood. Now, this isn't to minimize the deep wounding that happens when you experience any form of trauma, whether it's in childhood or whether it's in adulthood. But just because you experience trauma or you experience situations that have hurt you does not mean that you can't move forward. It does not mean that you can't grow. And it definitely doesn't mean that you have to paint your entire story with such a broad stroke based on that situation. It's very easy for us to focus on the negatives in life. Those things come to us very, very quickly. It's very easy for us to look back on our childhoods and pick out the things that didn't go right, the things that you wished you had, the things you didn't have. But it's another superpower entirely to look back at baggage of any kind, especially childhood baggage, and still manage to find something positive that came out of that. Now, oftentimes people think that they're wounded beyond repair or they're scarred for life. And that's just simply not true. You know, you choose to dictate how your future will go. You choose how the story is going to end. You don't have to allow situations to dictate that, you know, because healing is a choice. It really, really is. It's a hard choice. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. But for me, as a person who's experienced, you know, childhood trauma or just trauma throughout my entire life, one of the things that I have found to be very, very helpful for me when it comes to beginning to unravel these narratives that we've brought with us into adulthood is introspection. And a good way to practice introspection is to ask yourself the hard and good questions. And when I say hard, these are questions that you probably don't want to touch 9 times out of 10. You're going to shy away from it. You really don't want to deal with it. And more often than not, we always wait for other people to engage us with these questions. We wait for somebody to get us to start thinking about our lives and help us reflect when it's really our responsibility to do those things. So one of the questions that I've asked myself, or I ask myself whenever I experience something that is traumatic or painful, I always ask myself, what good came out of that? I mean, we can look at a situation with it being negative and just look at that's it. That's the end of that story. The whole thing was negative. But if you really go back and reflect and look at the details of a situation, you may find something completely different when you really look at it, though. I think we spend so much time running from one place to the next and trying to get through the day, get through the week, get through the month, get through the year, that by the time that we figure out that we haven't took much time out to heal, we got ourselves in a hole. And it's the same thing when it comes to childhood baggage. You know, we'll come into adult life and tell somebody real quick, well, I didn't learn that when I was growing up, so this is just who I am. Only you get to dictate who you are. So one of the questions that I asked myself, just going back, looking at this, is when it comes to what I value about myself, if I look at the baggage, if I look at the experiences that I've had, what could I credit for that development? And what I mean by that is you have some people who may have grown up in poverty, or somebody who had a parent that was not there, and it motivated them to be the best parent that they could be, or it motivated them to go after their goals and their dreams with unimaginable tenacity. I'm talking about situations like that. And I'll give you an example just from my personal life of how you can take something that literally could destroy you, or it could just change the whole narrative of your entire story if you allow it to, and find something positive. So for most people who will watch this video, you'll probably know that I am a sexual assault survivor. Sexual assault is not something I would wish on my worst enemy, period. And it's a very horrible experience. It completely changes the way you see life. It changes how you see yourself. There's so much unpacking that you have to do, so much healing that you have to do, that I can't even put it into words. It's simply put, it's really, really hard. When I experienced that, when I had that experience, the one thing I will always be grateful for is that after having that experience, it allowed me to understand human beings on a deeper level. Those people that society just throws to the side when things happen to them. It allowed me to understand healing on a completely different level than I don't think I ever would have experienced or understood had I not had that experience. And not only that, it propelled me into the career that was more fulfilling for me, to be honest. And it allowed me to live out the best parts of myself, the best parts of my life. And yes, it came from a very horrible experience. And the same thing could be said for the stuff that happens to us in childhood. There is something about you that you really, really value about yourself, whether it be your intellect, whether it be your heart, whether it be your kindness, whether it be your diplomacy. There's something about you that you value, and it had a start from somewhere. And those are positive attributes. And you would think those positive attributes would come from something positive. And that's not always true for everybody. Everybody didn't grow up in a home that was loving and secure. And I don't think any of us left childhood unscathed, because there's no rule book to parenting, and people are just doing what they can with what they know. Some people do it well, some people don't. But I don't think any of us left childhood unscathed. So this video is basically to get you to start thinking about that. What is something that you truly value about yourself as a human being? Where did that come from? And if you were to look over your entire childhood, if you look over the baggage of childhood, did it get its start there? Where did it come from? When you go through all that baggage, where did that positive characteristic come from? This will be something to help you to begin to see something in a new light. And this is not to say that you need to look at your trauma and make it seem like those things didn't happen to you. It's not saying that at all. But it's taking the power away from that baggage. It's taking the hold that it has on you. It's taking that away from it. When you can see it in a new light and say, you know what? This is what happened to me. Yeah, it did. But this is something positive that came from that. It's like radical gratitude. Like I said, sexual assault most definitely sucked, to put it, and that's an understatement. But I will always be grateful of what came after that. 1000%. And I just want to let anybody out there know that if you feel like the baggage of childhood is holding you back, that you'll never overcome it, that you can never move past it, that it has already got your story tied up in a bag, I just want to let you know that it's not true. Right now, you're holding a pen. And if you're watching this video, currently you're still living. Meaning that each and every day, you have a chance to change that story. You have a chance to free yourself. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. Just because you see something in a different light, it's not going to happen overnight. Healing sometimes can be a lifelong journey for some people. It can take an extensive amount of time. It has a bunch of different steps, and it's all based on you. It's all about you. And if you want to move forward, I just encourage you. I encourage you on today to just do a review. Look over what you believe is holding you back. Whether it came from just the past in your adult life or whether it most definitely came from childhood. And see, is there anything when you sort through the mess that you can say was a positive? That definitely enhanced how you showed up as a human being, how you show up in people's lives, how you show up in spaces. Because I can promise you, there is. You know, people always say that, they're just wishing they could see light at the end of the tunnel. But here's the thing. The light is only at the end of the tunnel when you walk down the tunnel and turn the light on. We have to be more proactive in our lives. We have to stand in the gap for ourselves. And if you're one of those people who didn't have the best parent and that's held you back, you have to be the parent that you wanted at that time for yourself. And I know that's not what people want to hear. They want their parents to be their parents. But your parents are individuals. You can't force somebody to be something that they're not. But what you can do is give yourself that nurturing that you needed. Give yourself that hug that you needed. Give yourself that I love you that you needed. Give yourself that support that you needed. I hope this helps somebody. And I hope this video made some type of sense, because I just did this on the fly. Because it seems to keep coming up all day today when it comes to childhood baggage. And it permeating our adult life. So with that, I would just want to say, I wish you nothing but healing. and love and light.